The toughest camera on the market currently is probably this little thing I have in front of me, which is the Olympus TG-2. This is the second super tough camera from Olympus, a company that is renowned for its very tough and rugged cameras. This is the biggest in the line and it's also the toughest. It goes down to 2.1 meters. Sorry, shockproof to 2.1 meters, 15 meters waterproof. It's also dustproof, freeze-proof to minus 10 degrees, I think it is. And everything else that you can throw at it, this thing can pretty much stand. In terms of the specs though, with other Olympus cameras, it's pretty much the same as the TG-1, which came before it. That is in terms of the lens, which is nice and bright at f2. You get a similar CMOS sensor inside, as well as the same array of specs around the back in terms of configuration. There are one or two things extra that I'd like to highlight on this particular camera though. You get some rugged grips here on the side to help you hold the camera if you're underwater or with ski gloves. You also get tap control, which means that you can basically tap the camera and tell it to change between modes, as well as on the back a very small little zoom rocker here so you can switch between you zooming in and zooming out, as well as a four-way directional pad which is here. It's easy to press underwater surprisingly, though with ski gloves or anything a bit bigger it is a bit more difficult, hence the tap control. A nice and bright 3-inch screen at the back here, as well as a record button for all your high definition movies, and a whole bunch of modes here on the side, including full intelligent automatic, as well as a program mode. You can also have some custom functions here. Magic filters, these are all the Olympus art filters that you might be familiar with, and you can switch between them. So you can choose what you like. I'll just switch back into it so you can see, you can have a look. And then you can just choose all sorts of different things like dramatic, pop art, pinhole, fisheye, so on and so forth. A lot to choose from and they are all quite fun. Also, you get aperture priority mode as well as scene modes, and this is kind of cool. This is super macro. Now, this is something that the Olympus camera does really nicely compared to a whole bunch of other ones on the market. I'll just give you a quick demo of what it can do. I'm just gonna reach behind me and grab a prop. Give me 1 second. We have a prop here. And what I'll do is I'll just take a photo of it, nice and close. Now most cameras are not going to be able to focus this close, especially with this sort of lens. You can actually see the physical distance. It's maybe, what, 3 centimeters there? And if you have a look at the photo that the TG-2 delivers, that is pretty close indeed. You can see that all the detail is there, there's no blur, it's focused in pretty precisely. So that's one real strength of this particular camera. Now the images on the TG-2 are also pretty great, nice and punchy on JPEGs, and you get lots of good color rendition, especially underwater where the blue channel is quite nice and strong as well. In terms of video, the TG-2 is okay. Now I only say okay is because this camera is plagued by the same problem that the TG-1 also had. Only a couple of models seem to have this, but if you do a couple of searches online, you can see that a few people have experienced the same problem, and unfortunately that's the same problem that this review model had, which is there was ticking during the video track. Now it just sounds pretty faint, but you can hear it nonetheless. If you want to check out what it sounds like, I've put in a video sample on the review. Apart from that though, if you do want the toughest camera on the market, the TG-2 is definitely one to consider, and it comes recommended as long as video is not high on your priority list. Make sure to check out the image and video samples as well as the full text review over at CNET.